This is Binghamton Now on News Radio 1290 WNBF Binghamton and WNBF.com.
I'm Bob Joseph. Welcome to my world on Tuesday, November 12th, 2024. Would you like to call? Of course you would. Call now, 607-772-1290. WNBF! And here we go again with Binghamton Now. Certainly the finest local talk show originating from a studio in downtown Binghamton on weekday mornings. So with those caveats in place, we encourage you to enjoy and make the program even better. Let's hit the phones. Hi, you're caller number one. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
John from Binghamton, and I'm from Binghamton, I guess.
All right. Well, lucky you. What's on your mind, John?
Well, the Trump appointments. You know, it's going to be interesting as a Trump supporter to watch this because, you know, all kinds of conservatives and conservative movements have been betrayed in the past. I would say the most important event is the election of a leader in the Senate. If Rick Scott is not elected, then you can kiss MAGA goodbye. In terms of doing anything, Trump's appointments here, Rubio, there's nobody smarter, nobody quicker on the uptake, but Rubio is a Lindsey Graham neocon. So to put him in that position, I mean, I would rather see Rubio as Attorney General.
Why? I mean, the question, as soon as I heard that, my first thought was, why? Why?
Why what?
Why little Marco for that position?
Well, he
first of all, they don't like each other. That's well established. Both of them have publicly disparaged the other. So we know whatever's going on here is perhaps a marriage of convenience. But of all the fine jobs in the new administration, I still keep asking myself, why? Why?
Well, you know, yeah, why not Sebastian Gorka at the UN?
Exactly. Yes. Not Elise Stefanik. Come on. There are plenty of other fine jobs open for Elise Stefanik.
Well, yeah, like, look, she's a Bush person who saw the light. She was loyal to Trump. But the point I'm getting at is, you know, Reagan was floundering for 2 years. Trump obviously doesn't have 2 years to flounder. What you're going to see is the myth of American military superiority crash and burn. The last victory we had was the unconditional surrender of Japan. Now, who beat us? Well, Afghanistan beat us on their home court. They beat the Soviet Union, too. Who else beat us? Well, the North Vietnamese. You know, we had our 6'1" muscular guys jumping out of planes. Who beat us? The small in stature North Vietnamese army beat us. Who else beat us, Bob? North Korea. Now, North Korea has always been portrayed, you know, they're a regional threat or they're atomic bomb. No, their threat is their ground forces now out for hire by Russia. And let me tell you something, and I'm just telling you this, and I believe this to be true. Let's have a contest, say, on a football field of some sort, you know, clubs, whatever. Put 100 North Korean troops on the field and 100 people from Fort Drum on the field. We'll see who prevails. What I'm telling you is this: it's just like the FBI. It's not the FBI of J. Edgar Hoover. So too, and I'm not diminishing the fact that these people are brave and well trained, but the SEALs, the Green Berets, the Mountaineer Division, they're a shadow of themselves. I'll tell you one thing: you're not going to see anybody in the North Korean army with a black dress and a string of pearls. These people they've got nothing to lose, and we have no industrial base. We cannot sustain any type of prolonged military conflict. So Trump's big selling point is he didn't get us involved in a war. I think, and this is, again, going back to the Senate election of Rick Scott. If he is not in there, then the fix is in. Trump will be destroyed. MAGA will be destroyed, just like they were destroyed the first time. So everything is on the line with the secret Senate election, and we'll see. I'm surprised. There's a lot of good people that I think should be frontline people. Peter Navarro. I think Rudy Giuliani would be a good frontline person, But, Attorney General Emeritus or something.
Did you say Rudy?
Yeah.
No, not at this stage.
Well,
maybe 10 years ago. I mean, let's be charitable. And, I like the man who frequently had been described as America's mayor back in the day. That was a different century. I mean, and again, it gives me no pleasure to say his time in the spotlight, I'm afraid, has passed. His best days, and I'm not saying he still can't contribute in some way, maybe White House press secretary, but it has to be a very special job for Mr. Giuliani if he is to be part of the new administration.
Well, I think his legal skills are still there because he can articulate and go over a complaint very well, and he certainly knows the federal system. But that aside, if you're a MAGA person, get ready to be disappointed and prepare yourself.
I don't think people will be disappointed.
Oh, the people that follow it closely, the people that know who the players are.
I'm talking about people. Most of the people, because most of the people don't follow it that closely. The majority of people, I think, are about to be pleased.
Well, the early adopters. Well, they're the first. They're the first to become soured.
All right. Well, we'll see. I mean, this program is on the front line of the nation's defense. Whatever happens over the next 4 years, we're here for you.
Bob, we're going to war, and we better win.
Right. Well, we want win. We want victory. We must win. We must prevail. It's a good motto. It's 9:18 WNBF. WNBF.com. Alan from Binghamton has alternate jobs for Rudolph Giuliani. Thank you, Alan from Binghamton. I will refrain from mentioning the specifics, but I wouldn't put him in charge of that either. Saying, White House press secretary, because definitely need a press secretary who is respected by members of the media. I was going to bring up that job of White House press secretary anyway. I know most people don't think it's that important. I personally have been impressed with the current White House press secretary. I think she's done one heck of a job for Joe Biden. But looking forward now, because it is, after all, just barely 2 months before things really get going with the new administration, you do have to wonder who's going to be in charge. So I suppose there's little likelihood the new president will keep the current press secretary. But that would be intriguing as well as shocking. Funny in its own special way. Well, that would get people's attention. The incoming president did something unprecedented. unprecedented. He retained his predecessor's press secretary. Oh, my gosh. No, it's not going to happen. I'm just saying it would be funny if it did. There's not one chance in a zillion. Though it would, just for kicks, just for maybe the first week, would be kind of funny. Although she probably, even if offered the job or offered the opportunity to stay on as press secretary beyond January 20th, don't think she would take the job. But you never know. You never know. And that would be just one more thing to keep people confused and not be able to really figure out what's going to happen over the next 4 years. It's 9:21. Bob Joseph, WNBF. If you like local news, I would highly recommend WNBF.com for some of the more interesting local news stories, including the shocking story of pedestrians being struck in downtown Binghamton, and police said the driver, a Binghamton man, now has been charged with vehicular assault, reckless driving, and several other charges. So if you're interested in that story, as well as other local news, be sure to check WNBF.com, because that is the website that gives you a lot to think about. 92.1 FM, 1290 AM, and stay connected with the WNBF app. This is Binghamton Now on your Tuesday morning. I'm Bob Joseph. First, though, let's say good morning to Karen Sweet O'Neill. This segment is sponsored by KSO Insurance Solutions. Good morning.
Good morning, Bob. Happy Tuesday.
It's a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday.
Yeah, the sun's coming out, so that's always a good thing.
Yeah. Beautiful morning. I was out there reporting at a couple of spots, and I'm really impressed with how nice the weather is this morning.
Ah. Hey, I've got a question for you,
sure,
Mr. Reporter. The old Blaze restaurant, the pizza place on the Parkway, is being renovated.
Yeah, did you see?
I did. But
I just drove by. I just drove by there.
Ask Bob what that's going to be renovated for.
Oh, you're going to
You're not ready to say, are you?
Hot chicken. Hot. Not regular chicken, not cold chicken.
You don't.
Not chicken that's not available on Sundays. Chicken available for the masses 7 days a week. Hot chickens.
Right?
Yeah. The hottest chickens. I was over there a few days ago taking pictures because you're right, they're renovating. Although the kids still haven't taken down the old Blaze sign, so every time I go by, I say, man, a pizza would go really well about now. And then I remember, oh no, they closed in September. But yeah, so they're going to be selling hot chickens, and that's why they're renovating the place. I did just drive by there at about 8:45, and there's a guy in a white truck. I don't know if it looked like a van.
White truck guy.
Yeah, the guy lives by the river in his white van, and he was there.
Starting chicken?
No, the chickens haven't arrived. It's too early for the chickens. So what they're going to do, we've been told by the authorities, and we'll see if this actually happens, but we've been told that it's going to be Dave's Hot Chicken.
Is that right?
Yeah. So we did a story in September when the Blaze Pizza went belly up. I talked with the guy. He has other Blaze Pizza locations in upstate New York.
That's a franchise, right?
Yeah. And he has, I don't know if he has one up near Albany. He has a few in New York State, and for whatever reason, this Blaze Pizza just didn't do well recently. One of the things he said was it was so labor intensive, and they were having trouble maintaining adequate staffing. And then, of course, one of the other things here, and this is sort of the elephant in the room, here in the Triple Cities, we have so many really, really good locally owned pizza places that sometimes chains struggle to survive. I mean, you have to find a niche, and their niche was that they did these custom pizzas. You know, you would come in and say, yeah, throw on, I don't know, lemons, and throw on some bacon, and then they would make it in front of you, and they had those high-speed ovens.
Right.
But I only went there once. I mean, it was fine, but I have so many other pizza choices, so I think that was one of the reasons why it just never
took off.
Never caught fire.
Yeah, probably right.
See what I did there? It never caught fire. Blaze Pizza. You know, notify.
I don't know how you are this clever. I just don't.
Notify the local fire investigators. You see what I'm saying?
Oh man, have
Let
they
your
been
husband
busy
know.
lately?
Oh my gosh,
Not
they've been
good.
running all over.
Yeah, they're
going to have to put in a new station. Well,
Jeez.
I
Well,
mean,
they did.
That's true. Well, notice, I'll just say this, and I'll discuss this at a later time. I'll just say this. It's really good they put that fire station where they did, as opposed to leaving it at City Hall. Have you noticed?
Absolutely.
I mean, so now when there are fires, the fires all seem to break out within 4 blocks of the fire station.
Well, it's very centrally located.
Yeah.
Well,
it's
and the
convenient.
bottom of that floor was falling in, so they couldn't keep it
Oh,
in
yeah.
City Hall. So, yeah.
Well,
Great move.
Yeah, put those heavy trucks, and then, well, let's hold our breath, gentlemen. It's like, no, we can't hold our breath. What, if we have to respond to a fire and the back 2 wheels of the truck are stuck where the concrete fell in, that's not gonna look good in the media.
Yeah, it's going to hinder your time.
No, so fortunately they got the new station. Anyway, that's not why you called. What is?
It isn't? Okay, yes, you're right. It's not.
It's funny. Yeah, the whole concept of Tuesday is for a preview of your Wednesday segment, and here we've talked about everything but what's coming up tomorrow morning. What will you be discussing tomorrow?
Well, I'm going to talk about numbers because the new 2025 numbers are now out. They came out yesterday for people that are on Medicare for copays and deductibles. And unfortunately, which we knew was going to happen, they all have increased. So what's being taken out of your Social Security now for your Part B is going to have an increase among other, increases with deductibles and copays. So we're going to go over the actual numbers and then hopefully spread a little bit of light along with that with your actual number increases for Social Security. So, it's the increase for the Part B, it was $174 this year, and we were estimating about $5-6, a little bit more than that. So, everything counts, Bob. So we're going to talk about it and how you can budget for it. And we are at 1708 Vestal Parkway East, up above Plato's Closet and Style Encore. It is annual open enrollment period, and we are still taking some appointments. You can reach us at 607-772-4898. You can Google us at KSO Insurance, and all our contact information will come up, including our website. You can make an appointment that way. If you miss the phone number, we have a big display ad under insurance in the Yellow Pages, and open enrollment ends December 7th, so you've only got a couple weeks left. And then on to Christmas, Bob.
I can't wait.
Oh, I can't wait for Thanksgiving. That's an easier holiday.
Yeah,
but I love
absolutely.
Christmas,
Well,
too. Yeah.
Don't tell anyone, but I personally prefer Thanksgiving out of all the holidays. But
A lot of people do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, you get a
It's
chance
easy.
to be thankful. And then, football. Oh, there's a cornucopia of football on every channel.
Right?
So that's
It's just,
that's what makes TV great. Lots and lots of football. Extra servings. By the way, that guy who is over there working on the new restaurant, he doesn't live in the van. He just uses the van, for his work supplies. He doesn't actually live in the van. He lives in a really big house called the White House.
Well, I wasn't going to lose any sleep over that one because I already forgot about it.
Wouldn't it be funny?
I knew what you meant.
I know. Wouldn't it be funny? Wouldn't it be funny if he was listening, saying, Oh, Bob, I don't appreciate that kind of
well,
humor.
that's a good point.
That's what I'm saying, And then I go over there when they finally open the place up looking for a hot chicken sandwich, and he says, your voice sounds familiar. I'll be like, oh, no, I'm Roger Neal. And then he says, no, you're not. And
Don't be dissing on Roger.
I would only do it in order to get myself a hot chicken sandwich, because obviously the guy in a couple of months will be, serving hot chicken sandwiches even on Sundays. And then I come there, and he remembers November 12th and said, you thought you were such hot stuff standing in front of your microphone and making light of a guy who was renovating Vestal Parkway's best new hot chicken restaurant. Well, no chicken for you.
That's right. No soup for you. Seinfeld, love it.
Absolutely. Hey, have a great day.
You too, Bob.
Talk to you tomorrow.
All right, bye.
No chicken for me. Except on Sundays. And then you can have 2 chicken sandwiches with our Sunday special. 607-772-1290. Could go for a chicken sandwich about now, or a chicken taco. Or a half pounder. That's Bob Joseph. Hungry in mid-morning on WNBF. 9:37, the Binghamton Now program, moving forward, as it often does, at the speed of sound. Here's the forecast from the National Weather Service. Cloudy this morning with a slight chance of showers between now and 10 o'clock. So keep an eye out. There will be showers possible for another 22 and a half minutes. Gradual clearing this afternoon should look nice, and we should reach a high today of 45. Mainly clear tonight, low 25. Sunny tomorrow, high 49. And mostly cloudy Thursday with a slight chance of afternoon showers, high 46. Right now, 38 in downtown Binghamton, 3 Celsius. And air quality, because people have a right to know, the air quality index in Binghamton right now is 32. Fresh, healthy air. Just like Twin Peaks. All right, what else do we have here? Oh, also, WNBF.com. Maybe you saw the story at our website, or maybe you heard the story this morning on First News Binghamton with Don Morgan. But we do have details, actually some relatively extensive details about what will be happening really soon at the Town and Country Apartments on the north side. Now, most people don't know a darn thing about Town and Country Apartments, except what they hear in the news. And unfortunately, especially over the last few years, when the apartment complex has been in the news, it's typically not for anything good. Crime and intrigue and mayhem, and a place, unfortunately, that is in pretty bad shape. And over the last few months, I've been over at the apartment complex property on the north side several times, observing things. Of course, sadly, the biggest recent story in the news was when a man was fatally shot, and his only crime apparently was sitting in his apartment. So it happened, I think, shortly after 10 o'clock on a Monday night. I believe that was September 30th. So about a month and a half ago, and nobody's been arrested in connection with his killing. So crime has been an issue, and of course that wasn't the first homicide at the place that originally was known as Country Town Apartments. Now, having said all that, and obviously I've painted a desperately bleak picture, because when you go over there, sadly, much of what you might see is desperately bleak. But a Connecticut company called Vesta is about ready to purchase the complex. So there are 256 units. Now, depending who you talk to, some people have said 253, some people have said 257. Right now, I'm going with 256 apartments. So probably in about a week, 7 or 8 days, this deal should be finalized. So the purchase of Town and Country Apartments is scheduled to close, this complicated deal, and the financing is complex. So Vesta's been working with the city and state. So there are a lot of people working to finally get this place fixed, because it desperately needs renovating. So starting very soon, maybe as soon as December 1st, some real rehab work is expected to start. So hopefully, unless something comes up at the last minute, hopefully people who live there will start to see some improvements. Already, several dozen apartments at Town and Country are empty. They've actually been boarding up a lot of the apartments on the first floor. So they're securing buildings. One thing that Josh Greenblatt from Vesta told me, he said, we're really going to move to secure this place, because one of the problems, among the many problems at Town and Country, one of the big problems was people who were there who shouldn't have been there. So if you've got people in an apartment complex just kind of hanging out, squatters, because that's what was happening in some cases, well, of course, there's going to be trouble. So people who don't pay rent and yet think they can stay in the apartments, that's not acceptable. And so Vesta is going to do everything it can to secure the place, and then building by building, they will have their contractor work to, I think every building will get a new roof, new HVAC systems that are supposed to be electric and more energy efficient, and new windows, new appliances, new fixtures. So it'll take time. Josh Greenblatt from Vesta said maybe it'll take more than 24 months because it's complicated. So they'll do building by building. First few buildings probably will take longer. Once they sort of get on a roll, they might be able to renovate individual buildings more quickly. So it still might not be till early 2027 before that project is finished. But at least after everything people have been through at the apartment complex, remember, it was about 5.5 years ago, they were promised that renovations were going to happen with some company based in Boston. Well, never did find out why it fell through, but it never happened. So I guess we'll see. We'll see. As far as based on a fairly extensive conversation with Joshua Greenblatt, I get the sense Vesta really is committed to doing the right thing. So there is, and again, I don't think we have a big audience at Country Town. I know from talking with some people in the past that they've on occasion have listened to the program, and occasionally we've received some phone calls from some people who live at Country Town, but to be fair, at any given time, there really aren't that many residents there. And one thing from speaking with the people who live at Country Town Apartments on the north side, a lot of them are reluctant to speak publicly because they think that if they speak out and they're identified, that maybe there'll be trouble. I don't know if there will be trouble, but I can understand their reluctance. And some people are just so skeptical. They're skeptical of the past owners and management of the apartments, Town and Country, and they're skeptical of government, they're skeptical of the media, and just chatting with some of the residents there, you can kind of appreciate they don't really have a lot of confidence in what people tell them. I guess they're skeptical. So, and understandably, after waiting so many years to see the place fixed, only to be, strung along with very little official information, just watching the place crumble with roof problems, plumbing problems, infestations. So it's been a mess. So hopefully it'll be improved at some point soon. 9:47 at WNBF. To me, it's fascinating to see how this place was promoted when it was new. I looked up some of the initial advertising for the apartment complex on the north side. And the first newspaper ads I found touting the apartment complex with 22 buildings and 250 or 256 apartments, the newspaper advertising made it sound like it was the best possible place. There's one ad I'm looking at here from 1964, July. It's an ad actually by the Fair Store. Remember back when we had a Fair Store here in downtown Binghamton? Come see the 3 model apartments the Fair Store has furnished at the exciting new Country Town Apartments, Shenango Street and West State Street in Binghamton. A pleasant new place to live. And the ad says, Anne, I give her full name, Anne has created 3 different kinds of atmosphere for country town living in these 3 completely furnished model apartments. She has clearly demonstrated how good taste need not be expensive, for these model apartments are fully furnished with lovely things from the fair. That means the Fair Store. And yet the furnishings are moderately priced for most budgets. Walk into them and you'll want to move in. You'll see handsome upholstered pieces from Kraler's World's Fair collection in the contemporary apartment, a 2-bedroom contemporary apartment, plus a handsome contemporary walnut bedroom grouping and another bedroom from our urban oak collection. You'll find a luxurious look in the 1-bedroom traditional apartment, attractively furnished in Italian provincial. And you'll find dozens of ideas for furnishing with early American in the 3-bedroom apartment, which features Kraler's Cape Cod living room collection, an Ethan Allen master bedroom, a multi-purpose den or family room, and a clever room for the children featuring our spice box grouping with carefree plastic tops. Remember, this is an ad in the newspaper 60 years ago for Country Town Apartments, now known as the Troubled Town and Country Apartments. Then the ad concludes, but most of all, you will see for yourself why the Fair Store has the big choice in all kinds of furnishings, lamps, and accessories, and how the Fair Store can make your home or apartment more livable and more lovely. So that's how they were talking about the country town apartment. So when they opened in 1964, they were very well regarded. And then, over the decades, we'll just say things took a turn. I can't pinpoint exactly what dates things took a turn, but clearly what was described as a pleasant place to live at some point turned into extremely unpleasant. 9:51 here at WNBF and WNBF.com. You're listening to Binghamton Now. By the way, I've try to mention almost every day, but don't always think of it. I've mentioned how helpful it is for people to provide news tips. So if you are one of those who enjoys keeping us up to speed, feel free. If you see something that looks interesting, then of course send us a news tip. Bob at WNBF.com. So if you have something that looks like it might be newsworthy, just email Bob at WNBF.com. And we'll try to check it out. We can't do a story about everything, but we do try to follow up. Still looking at the wildfire that's burning on the border of New York and New Jersey. And last word, the blaze was covering at least 3,500 acres, maybe even closer to 5,000 acres. And one person who lives near the fire is Kathleen Turner. Probably have heard of her. And she said it was really scary. See that fire coming so close.
It was especially frightening yesterday when the smoke was so thick and you could smell it everywhere. And I walked out to my car and I saw ashes all over my car.
And for people in the Northeast, you don't expect wildfires, but it's happening because we've had a prolonged period of very, very little rain. So that's the bottom line. Too much rain or too little rain. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully the fire danger will go down.
Just got to keep an eye out and hope for the best and pray that we get some type of relief from this.
And here's somebody else who lives in New Jersey. Again, this fire is right along the New Jersey-New York border.
Hope it rains, but it's not going to, so hopefully it's not too windy.
Well, the problem today in that particular area around New York and New Jersey, it is going to be quite windy. So, see what happens. And as far as some fires around here, there have been over the last few weeks several brush fires that have been sparked. I don't know what causes them. If it's people throwing cigarettes from their cars, I have no real clue what's been causing the fires around here. But just be careful. Even though we've received some precipitation last night and this morning, it's still very dry. It's 9:55 at WNBF. One other story that is interesting. Still don't know all the details about what happened late Saturday afternoon near the Holiday Inn on Hawley Street here in downtown Binghamton. So this happens a little bit before 5 o'clock, and I didn't realize that a couple of pedestrians had been struck by a vehicle on a sidewalk outside the Holiday Inn. I was downtown, probably about an hour or so later, hour and a half later, for the hockey game on Saturday night. So I walked over to the arena, oblivious to what had happened about 2 blocks away, just over to the west, over at the Holiday Inn. I didn't happen to notice any activity, but turns out 2 pedestrians were struck by a vehicle. No names of the pedestrians have been released, but Binghamton police investigators said a 36-year-old city man was charged with vehicular assault, reckless driving, and driving while his ability was impaired by drugs. He also was charged with 2 counts of criminal possession of a controlled substance and aggravated unlicensed operation. The driver was processed Saturday night at police headquarters. So that's so far about all we know regarding that incident. It's 9:57 Tuesday morning. You're listening to Binghamton Now. I'm Bob Joseph on WNBF and WNBF.com. We're joined by Broome County Executive Jason Garner. Good morning.
Good morning, Bob, and good morning, Broome County. How's it going?
Here in Mr. Joseph's neighborhood, it's going well. I know you are in a different neighborhood, about 2.5 blocks away from here, Mr. Garner's neighborhood at the county office building. How are things in that neighborhood?
Things are going good. We just got our budget approved last week. I just sat down to have a monthly meeting where I talked to my DPW commissioner about all the different construction projects going on in the county and got updates on them. Those seem to be progressing pretty well. And, I think a current topic of conversation with a lot of people across the country is still, the election results of, was it last week? Has it been just since last week? I guess a week ago today.
It's hard to believe that a week ago at this time, people were still voting. It seems
it is.
It seems that a lot has happened over the last 7 days.
Yes, I feel like that's true. Yeah.
First, let's focus on the big race, the one that everybody was paying attention to, and of course that was for Broome County Executive. And obviously,
that's the big race that happened in Broome County.
Well, that's why we spent so much money on the exit polls. I said, I don't care. I don't care if it's going to cost us $50,000 to do all that exit polling. We need to know before the polls close who the likely winner is in the red-hot race for county executive. Of course, I say that. You ran unopposed, and so therefore congratulations in order, because you have become the first person in Broome County to be elected to this post for 3 terms. This is the 3rd time. And that's not happened before since the county has had this system of government.
Yeah, I think the county's had an executive form, since the 70s, maybe late 60s. But yeah, it's, I didn't have an opponent, but, I got a lot of support from a lot of people, and I really like doing this job. And I think we have a really good working relationship with the county legislature and the rest of the towns and villages across the county. And I think we've done a lot of good work over the last 8 years, and looking forward to the next 4. I think the next 4 are going to be really potentially great 4 years, but also there's going to be certainly a lot of questions as to, what is what role is the federal government going to play now with a completely different administration? And one of the things that people don't know is that a lot of funding that the county gets for a variety of different things comes from the federal government. So that's something that we'll be taking a look at as well. But yeah, it's I appreciate everybody's support. I'm very humbled to be able to do this job and continue to do it for the next 4 years.
So, looking back at the last 8 years, what do you think the biggest accomplishment has been? If you had to choose one specific accomplishment, you already talked about having a good working relationship with a Republican-controlled legislature, but beyond having that kind of working relationship, say, with the county lawmakers and other stakeholders, is there any specific thing that you would point to as perhaps your proudest accomplishment during your first 2 terms?
If you're just going to give me one thing, I'll just go right to it. Reducing the property tax rate. We've been able to work with the legislature to reduce the property tax rate 24% over the past 6 years, and that hasn't happened in a really long time. I actually can't remember the last time that's happened, and I think it's important because, especially over the last 3 years, when there's been inflation. Like the type of inflation that we've seen, the fact that we've been able to actually, reduce the property tax rate to county taxpayers, I think is pretty significant. And really just the overall, like improving the financial condition of the county. I mean, our fund balance was almost zero when I came in, and, we worked with the legislature to pass budgets that have increased the fund balance, close to $40 or $50 million, all the while reducing the property tax rate. So I think that's something that we're really proud of doing. It's not just my accomplishment, but the people that work for me, our department heads and the legislature approving budgets, all just kind of working together. But really, the taxes and the overall financial condition of the county. I feel like I could walk out of here tomorrow and whoever is the next, not that I'm going to, but I feel like I could leave here today and turn over the county to and there wouldn't, the financial condition is really, really good here, and someone would inherit a really good financial position here.
So you alluded to another race that many people in Broome County may have been paying attention to, and that certainly was the campaign and the election for president. So things are changing in Washington in just over 2 months. And just based on the news reports you've heard, not just since the election, but some of the comments that have been made by President-elect Trump over the months during the campaign, do you have a sense of what the impact might be on Broome County, say for 2025 and even the next 3 years? I know it's early to be making any concrete predictions, but what's your sense? Will the new president have a potentially big impact on the way things ultimately operate for counties like Broome?
Yeah. So what I try to do is I try to focus on things that happen that the president can do and Congress can do that directly affect Broome County. There may be other things that they want to do that don't really affect the Broome County government per se, that may affect many people in Broome County. And I know probably half the people in Broome County are happy about those, and half the people in Broome County are concerned about those. Looking at the way the presidential race broke down, I think maybe President Trump got 700 or 800 more votes in Broome County out of 80,000 votes. But as you were saying, there is a significant amount of federal funding that comes in to Broome County to do a lot of important work. There's federal funding for infrastructure. There's federal funding for the health department, for the Department of Social Services. There's, we got federal funding for our Veterans Resource Center. We get federal funding for BC Transit and our airport. And So, for a nursing home, I think I already talked about that. But I mean, there's a number of departments that, whether the federal funding comes to the state and that it comes to us, or whether it comes directly from us, that we rely on. And, it'll be, we're going to keep a very close eye on how that is going to manifest itself as we move on. Now, not directly related to Broome County, but certainly that's important in Broome County is that Binghamton University, New Energy New York won hundreds of millions of dollars of grants to move forward with lithium-ion battery research and production and manufacturing of batteries. Is that funding going to continue? I don't think anybody knows the answer to that question. But I will say, I think you remember, I got elected in 2016, and that was the first year that President Trump got elected as well. And in the 4 years that we, were in office, we didn't have any type of significant cuts to any of those types of departments that I just referenced. Whether that changes this time around, I'm not sure. We're going to wait and see. And my philosophy is I'm not going to judge anybody until they actually start doing things. That's, I'm not going to, I can tell you that I'm concerned about it based on what, people have said or people close to his administration have said. Like I remember Elon Musk saying something about cutting $2 trillion from the budget or something like that. That sounds like it might affect us if that actually happens, but he's not running government. President Trump is, along with Congress. So, I'm going to give him an opportunity to be the president and pass legislation and come up with initiatives. And, based on how it affects Broome County, I may like what he's doing, or if I feel that it harms the county, I'll certainly say something about that too. I typically try to stay out of a lot of the politics of stuff, whether it's national politics or state politics. I really don't like to get involved in that unless it's something that directly affects the county.
It's 10:21. We're talking with Broome County Executive Jason Garner. Of course, the other key local race that many people are talking about was the race for Congress, and Democrat Josh Riley wound up defeating the Republican incumbent, Mark Molinaro.
Yeah, he did, and that was, that was a race I think ultimately that people spent well over $40 million on. I think I can speak for all of Broome County that we're certainly glad that the ads are done with that in Broome County. I'm really liking not seeing those things. I thought it was interesting but concerning that my 12-year-old could recite, for both sides, word for word, all the ads, because every time he went onto YouTube, he saw them. I think it's disappointing that is the type of, I guess it's the nature of races these days at the congressional level across the nation. But I certainly would have liked to see more, more time spent on debating the issues and being serious about things and having a nice, healthy debate on what people want to do instead of tearing each other apart. But I know both of these individuals pretty well. I know Mark Molinaro really well as a former county executive and as the congressman from this area who's worked with us on several different projects over the last couple of years. And I know Josh Riley for a long time too. And I think Josh Riley is going to really, do a really good job in Congress representing people in his district and taking concerns. He listens really well to people and taking those concerns to Washington, D.C. I think the challenge that he's going to have is that it looks, I think it is, going to be that the House is GOP controlled and he's a Democrat. So I think that's a challenge with anybody that goes into any type of government, that they're not in the majority, how are you able to effectively fight and get the resources, back here at, for your home congressional district when you're not in the same political party? So I think he's got a challenge there, but, I've talked to him since the race has been over with, and, looking forward to working with him. And, we're going to be meeting pretty soon and talking about all the different projects that we have in the county and how we could get help from the federal government if he can get it.
In the end, I mean, the fact that, as you point out, he's going to be a freshman in a House controlled by Republicans, just speaking on paper, would it have potentially been beneficial if Molinaro had beneficial ultimately for Broome County, Republican Molinaro continuing on with a second term and potentially maybe holding more sway in the next Congress that will be controlled by Republicans? I mean, obviously we have to wait and see, but
there's no doubt about it. I mean, at every level of government, it's much easier to get resources if your party is in control of that legislative chamber. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation at many levels of government. Certainly, it seems to get more pronounced as you go up in different levels of government. But that it's something that we're going to have to deal with because it was really a nice thing to have your senator, in this regard, Chuck Schumer, who was the leader of the Senate, and we had the majority in the Senate. A lot easier to be able to go to him and be able to get resources from that level, and also having a House member who is a part of the majority as well. And now we don't have those things, so that's kind of the reality of the situation. And I think that's going to. I think that the quality of an elected official, one of the ways that you can assess how well they're doing is, are they able to get resources during, when they have the majority, but also are they able to advocate for their community and get resources when they're not in the majority? And that's not the only thing a representative does. Put forward legislation that you think is good and helpful for your community and for the country as well. These are all things that, again, we don't know how that's going to play out, right, over the next year or so, and we'll be certainly watching how it does.
Well, and you mentioned about Senator Schumer, so here we are. What perhaps a week ago, people might have been keeping their fingers crossed for the possibility that Democrats would control both the Senate and the House, and we could have had a Senate Majority Leader, Schumer, who's been to Broome County quite a few times, along with a House Speaker who went to school at Binghamton University. I mean, just that thought, again, doesn't necessarily mean that, the two leaders who could find Binghamton on a map would suddenly be showering Binghamton and Broome County with millions of federal dollars, but certainly that would have been a potentially nice scenario for projects in the area that need federal dollars. Absolutely,
and we'll be continuing to do that. But I think at the end of the day, it's also important to realize that when we go forward and do projects, like it's always nice to have support from other levels of government, but, certainly moving forward, we're going to have to make sure that, whatever project that we're working on, that we're not necessarily going to be able to count on resources from other levels of government. And, that it is what it is. And that's kind of the situation. My hope is that we are going to be able to continue to get resources from the federal government like we've been getting, and they're partners with us. But I guess time will tell, and we'll start figuring out pretty quickly how that unfolds, as we get into January and February and March of next year.
Continue our conversation with Broome County Executive Jason Garner on this Tuesday morning, listening to Binghamton Now on WNBF. Talking with Broome County Executive Jason Garner, you mentioned that the budget activity at the county level was wrapped up, so you've signed the budget?
Yeah, I actually signed it today.
Really?
All the resolutions. Yeah, the budget got passed, and I get resolutions that come over in front of my desk. So I signed them this morning. But it was passed by the county legislature on Thursday night of last week.
Did the legislature make any changes of note from what you had proposed?
Nope. We have a process where, and I think it's been a really good process. I think previous county executives really did not consult the legislature about what they wanted to do with their budget, and we have a much more collaborative process that takes place. I mean, the budget process starts in May and goes all the way through November, so it's a really long process. And I remember being a legislator and not having any idea on what the budget was going to be until I got it sent over from the county executive. We try to have a much more collaborative process, leading up to that, which I think yields in more compromise and definitely probably some fewer changes as well. And the legislature is their own people; they're going to vote on things that they feel are important. But I think the budget was a good budget. I know it was a good budget. It was again, we were able to reduce the property tax rate again. We did do a lot of upgrades, probably upgraded well over 250 different county positions, probably $2 million more into law enforcement. We created our small community fund again, and we have a new $5 million fund for housing and economic development that I'm really glad that the legislature is supporting as well. Really important to continue to build more jobs here, bring more jobs here, and also build out more housing as well. So I'm really happy with the budget and really happy with the work we've been able to do with the county legislature to do it.
It's 10:33. Any new housing projects that are likely to be announced in the next 3 to 6 months?
Well, there's a current housing projects that have been funded, and I think you've actually mentioned some of them. Some of them have direct county support. Others, we're just supporting them. But the Helio project is currently undergoing. It's already broken ground. There's a project on Grand Avenue, which is going to break ground soon. It's all funded. There's a project over in Endwell that's funded, going to break ground soon as well. And then there's just a number of different projects that are just kind of waiting to break ground, some to get funding. We're going to hear from probably in January or February, we'll hear if the Country Club housing project, the former IBM Country Club project, got funded by the state. We're waiting to hear some funding on the St. Ambrose project that the SEP is doing. That's going to take probably a few more months to hear on their final funding applications. The mall project, there's a 125 unit housing project that's going up at the mall as well. Bun Hill, I think you've reported on that. That's moving along.
Yeah, they've started working at the site just in the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Yep, they've started doing that, and then the last one. There's several that are on my radar, but there's the Countrytown apartment project. Looks like it's fully funded, and it will be. That project is going to be green lighted. It hasn't broke ground yet, but that looks like it's happening.
Yeah, that's supposed to be finalized possibly a week from today or maybe Wednesday of next week. I talked with Josh Greenblatt from Vesta at length, and he seems to be enthusiastic. And he said unless there's a last-minute snag, that actual construction with the renovation work on those 22 buildings at Town and Country could start around December 1st.
That's great to see, because that even Town and Country, I think, is like 50% vacant right now. So it's not just that because some of the apartments or units are in such deplorable condition. So renovating that doesn't add any technical new units. It's going to probably bring half of those units online that have been vacant because they just haven't. The condition of them is so poor you can't put people in them. There's a number of other projects that are kind of going past the approval phases in different types, right? So affordable, there's some, market rate projects that are kind of like moving through the approval process, and there's just a lot of housing projects that are going on in general here. So, and more to come. So I think your question was, are you going to hear more announcements in the next 3 months or so? Yeah, I think you're going to hear more announcements of newer projects happening in the next few months.
And one thing people may not appreciate at Countrytown, with those 22 buildings, they have different configurations. Some people are probably surprised to know there's 69 3-bedroom apartments and 169 2-bedroom apartments. So if you start running the numbers, there are probably units after they all get renovated, probably room for about 500 residents there once you take into account all the different configurations in those total of 256 apartments. So it's substantial.
It's a big project. Yeah, no, it's a substantial project, and I certainly you have to give credit to the mayor for really pushing that project forward and committing local resources. That's been a tricky project to have the state close on all the funding that was awarded on that project. But these projects are really, really big projects and not easy projects to do. So, and that is one of the bigger ones. But they're all important. And listen, I think housing is the most important issue in the county right now. You want to grow the community. You want to get more people to come into this area and work here. You have to build more housing. And it kind of all flows from there. So, I think there's a lot of projects going on right now, a lot of projects in the hopper, a lot of projects to be announced that have not yet been announced.
And you mentioned a moment ago about the IBM Country Club apartment complex that was announced as a 72-unit complex, but obviously it's been on hold because the state funding didn't get approved in earlier rounds. But you are expecting that there should be perhaps a decision coming in January, maybe in a couple months, to find out once and for all whether that can move forward with the state support?
Yeah, so these types of projects, these affordable projects, are really dependent on HCR, which is a state level type of funding. And sometimes these projects have to take like 3 bites of the apple. There's different application rounds. Sometimes they have to apply 3 times before they get their funding. It's very competitive. So you probably, I don't know the exact number, but if there's $500 million worth of funding for these types of projects made available by the state, there's probably like 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 times as many the amount of money being asked for. So they're highly competitive. And so my hope is that so Conifer has applied to do this project. They have applied for the second round of state funding after they didn't get the first round. We think we're going to hear from the state whether they got that funding or in January or February at the latest, and hopefully they'll be able to break ground and move forward with that project. If they don't get the funding, then the question on what we do with the property will we'll have to kind of review that and see, are we up to do a third round of funding? Does the developers even think it's worth it to do that? I am pretty sure that we're going to be able to get the funding. It's a really, really strong application. But it's just kind of a wait and see until we know or not in January or February.
The other project you alluded to or referenced in Endicott, St. Ambrose, that's where SEP has talked about acquiring the old gym, and it would be 41 bedroom units, according to the executive director of the SEP group, John Bernardo. So, to the best of your knowledge, that still is something that there is hope for, that hasn't been shelved.
I just talked to Mr. Bernardo last week about the project. They have like one last round of funding that they're putting into, and I'm not sure when they'll find that out. Maybe the same time in January, February, March. It's a different type of funding than, like, say, the former IBM Country Club project is going after. But they've got one last funding source to get approved by, and then hopefully they can move forward with that project. And SEP does a great job with all the apartments that they manage, and it's a great complement to Washington Avenue and being able to see that project, the reconstruction of the avenue, come to completion. So my hope is, they get that last final funding in, and they can start work next year on it.
Staying in Endicott for a moment, and I think almost every month when we chat, we have to at least touch on the IBM Endicott demolition. Yep. And I, a few days ago, chatted with Endicott Mayor Nick Burlingame, and he said, finally, the state has, the Historic Preservation Office has given conditional approval for the plan to demolish those 5 old structures on North Street east of McKinley Avenue. So that seems to be progress, and yet it's going to take probably at least several weeks for those conditions to be met. What's your understanding as far as how this process, it seems to be one of the longest running episodes of trying to tear down clearly unusable buildings that I've ever seen?
Yeah, so I've been directly involved in the discussions with the project developer and several different state departments to make sure that this project gets done. These buildings are of interest in terms of the historical value. I mean, this is the birthplace of IBM, but I think we all, everybody here understands that IBM hasn't been here in a long time, that the buildings have been dilapidated, that they've been condemned, and they need to come down. The county also has significant funding into this project. We have put $2 million in American Rescue Plan funding into the demolition of this project because it really is one of our last big current development sites, industrial development sites that remains in the county. You've reported on it. Sometimes people don't even think about it, but a lot of the sites, a lot of the old buildings these old buildings that were left in Broome County are either demolished or repurposed over the last 8 years. There's very few of these buildings that are left. This site is really important in terms of its potential, and all these buildings have to come down. So I literally just talked to the developer last week, and the owner of the property believes that demolition should start in 2 weeks. There was conditional approval. Basically, the developer had to kind of like take pictures in a very different type of way, kind of create some type of permanent small memorial marker, talking about what had happened here and some other things. And the owner of the property, Phoenix, and SHPO had to get together to figure out what that actually meant, what they actually had to do. They've done that. They're in agreement that they can do that. And Gorick has been literally ready and poised, as you talked about. It's been one of the most anticipated demolition projects probably in Broome County history. That is a massive. That is I think it is the largest. I think it might even be larger than the BAE demolition. If you remember when BAE was flooded on 600 Main Street. That was a massive project. This is a huge project. I mean, this is a massive demolition project. I think a lot of the concrete's going to get recycled, though, and diverted from the landfill. But Gorick has been literally standing by, ready to get the green light. They've done all the site work and prep. So there was a lot of utilities underground that had to be rerouted. That's all completed. So really, all they're waiting for is like a couple of documents to just be signed, and they're ready to go. And I think Gorick is finishing up a very large project in another part of the state, and they'll be able to divert a pretty large amount of their workforce to getting all these buildings down, and then ready for a shovel-ready site.
So just to be clear, you suggested, I think, that there could actually be demolition activity starting there off North Street by the end of this month?
Yeah, that's what I've been told, and I hope it happens, because we've been waiting a really long time for that. And I think if these and again, we're talking about one or two documents that need to be signed. Everything's agreed on, but the approvals, just one or two approvals that need to be signed, and we're good to go with the demolition of that site. And there will be no happier person than me when the excavators get on that property and start bringing down those condemned structures. It was I think we all know it was a pretty amazing place to work, but it's been a long time since those buildings have had any purpose, and it's time to really build Endicott's future and move on. And it starts with a demolition of those buildings.
Who told you that this could happen in about 2 weeks?
I talked to Chris Pelto last week.
Okay, I have been trying to reach him over the last few weeks and haven't gotten a call back. But that's who. He's
so busy.
No, I know.
So busy getting all this stuff done.
That's what I wanted to know, because Chris Pelto is the person in charge of here on campus for Phoenix investors. So
yep.
Yes, he's got a lot going on there, and hopefully within the next couple of weeks there'll be more tangible action going on east of McKinley Avenue.
It's one of the things I think about every day that needs to happen, because we, like I said, the county has significant interest in it, not just as a development site, but because we have money allocated to this project as well. But I think in the next 2 weeks, and certainly by the end of the month, I expect to see buildings starting to come down, which is good news for Endicott and Broome County.
Speaking of demolitions in Endicott, on this program a year and a half ago, you said people shouldn't have to look at that crap. And you were referring to
Kmart site?
The old Kmart building. And on this program, you indicated that you thought maybe by the end of 2023, that old building that couldn't be used by Green Mountain Electric Supply, and last I knew it was still on the market, but there are no signs of optimism that somebody wants it. You said last year that perhaps the thing would finally be torn down. Is there any expectation at some point the old Kmart building in Endicott will finally be torn down?
I'm definitely having a lot of conversations about it with the state. It's something that we want to see happen, and I think either way, I think over the next, my goal is for the next few months to be able to secure the type of funding that we would need to do that. But there's a couple of roadblocks. That the first roadblock is that we don't own the property. That's the most important roadblock. The second roadblock is, being able to find funding to demolish it, because it's not just demolishing the building, it's developing a long-term strategy to, remediate any issues that are underneath the soil there, and then market that as a shovel-ready site to whatever you want to do. But it's kind of like what comes first, the chicken or the egg. We got to get site control, but you want to make sure that you have funding before you have site control, and the people that fund the project want to make sure you have site control. So those are things that we're trying to work on. And I still stand by that. I don't think anybody should ever have to drive by and see that the mess over there. That's a really terrible eyesore there. But we work to either redevelop other eyesores or demolish other eyesores right around that area, by the way. Within a stone's throw, several different sites around there. And I'm confident that over the next year we can do this. This is just a very, very challenging project, given all those issues.
But realistically, you've seen nothing to suggest what's left of that Kmart building will ever be successfully redeveloped.
I don't think that it can be redeveloped. The building itself can be redeveloped. And again, I speak to you as somebody who, I'm not a construction expert or, an engineer or anything like that, but, they had, of course, they couldn't make a small distribution facility work in that building because of the structural issues with it. So I really do think that the entire building has to come down to the ground, and we have to start from scratch in terms of developing the site.
We're talking with Broome County Executive Jason Garner. More coming up in a moment on WNBF. Talking with Broome County Executive Jason Garner. I checked out the Veterans Service Center site on Binghamton's north side this morning. That project is moving forward. That will include tiny homes. Have you heard anything more about when the 10 tiny homes, the modular units, might wind up on the site?
I don't know when the modular units are going to be on the site. I can check into that, but everything's supposed to be completed by July 1st. And as you've seen, the building has really been buttoned up. The roof's getting put up there. A lot of the windows are in. It's really looking amazing. And I think I was by it maybe about 3 weeks ago. I drove by and checked it out, but it really is coming together quite nicely. And it's we're starting to talk to the organizations about move in and when they can actually start moving in and all those types of things. So it's really coming along pretty well. We're really happy to see it come to fruition.
Anything new on the Griffin Park project? Because a lot has been done over the last few months as the new enhancements are being put in there.
No, the building is just about near completion. We expect to probably open all the amenities and everything should be open by the spring of next year. And right now we're working with our parks director on planning a number of events to go on in that building during the summer and the fall and then the winter time of next year as well. So it's another really nice project that people, not just in Endicott, but in Broome County, are going to love when that thing comes online.
The renovations are moving forward at Greater Binghamton Airport. Someone who flew out of the airport a few days ago said, it's starting to look like a real airport again. What's the status of that massive project?
It is. We expect to be finished in the spring. That's a real massive project. But yeah, we expect to have everything finished in the spring. Actually, the governor came here, was it last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, and took a tour of it and saw all the work that's being done on it. And the work continues. But a lot of projects coming online next year. A lot of people busy doing a lot of different things. And they're all supposed to be finished, everything's supposed to be finished by the spring, whether it's their summer, but whether it's the Veterans Resource Center, Griffin, the airport, a number of other things that are happening too.
Any new word on potential changes in service at the airport?
No, no official word, but our airport Commissioner Mark Kiefner, I think, just went to a conference recently and talked to a number of airlines, and that's what we continue to do is talk, have negotiations with airlines, and try to put our best foot forward to attract more service here.
And what's the one topic we didn't touch on today that I should have asked you about?
The one topic that we didn't talk today about is I would later in the year, the arena is getting a new basketball floor that I'm really excited about. It's the first time, I think, in 30 years that the basketball floor has been replaced. And as you may remember, we had the New York State basketball state championships coming in here in the wintertime. So it really comes at a nice, timely. It's a very timely thing. So we're really excited about getting that whole floor put in. And I think Chris Marion, our arena and forum manager, would probably love to come onto your program and talk to you about the new floor and everything. I'm really excited about it.
So when will that be put in?
whole floor should be put in, I believe, sometime in late December.
All right. I'll get in touch with Mr. Marion.
I just saw the floor renderings, and it is the most beautiful basketball floor ever. People are going to love it.
All right. Well, then I'll take pictures of it. Maybe video. From County Executive Jason Garner, thank you so much for chatting with us. We will talk with you again in a few weeks, if not sooner.
Thanks, Bob. Good talking to you. Take care.
Thanks. It's 10:59. You're listening to News Radio, WNBF, and WNBF.com. And obviously a lot going on around the Triple Cities. And don't worry, I'm going to be busy this afternoon reporting. I know it's surprising for some people when they say, well, after you get done with the show, what do you do? Just go home or go out and have lunch and hang out? No, actually there's reporting. Those stories, trust me, those stories are not going to report themselves. It's true. The stories will not report themselves, so I have to go out there and find out for myself. And I will. Even if it's a little blustery this morning, a little sprinkles. It felt almost at one point this morning when I was out taking some photos for a future WNBF.com story. It felt almost like we could get a few snow flurries. I didn't see any, but probably were in some spots. Let's take a call. 1114, good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from? Well, sorry about that. Yeah, if you got disconnected, feel free to call and get reconnected. So as far as some of the other things that are going on, of course, we touched on some of the appointments. There's so many appointments that are being announced, or at least rumored, because everybody has sources. New York Times has sources, the Washington Post. Everybody seems to think they have good sources with the president-elect. And yet you have to watch out for some of these reports. There was that one report where I think it was the Washington Post said that the president-elect had actually talked with Putin. And I thought, well, it's big if true, but apparently it wasn't true. I mean, Washington Post said Trump talked to Putin and told the Russian leader not to escalate. And so everybody else doesn't know what to say. The Trump team denied the call happened. So I don't know. I don't know what to think. I'm looking here. USA Today reported yesterday about Trump allegedly, ostensibly speaking with Putin. And actually, now that I look more closely at it, it's not USA Today. It's a Reuters report. So, and they they said the Washington Post first reported the call had taken place citing unidentified sources. So, did they talk? Who knows? Should they talk? Yeah, they probably should. Should they have a conversation now? Yeah, I guess they probably should. So Donald Trump should tell Vladimir Putin to knock it off in Ukraine, shut down the war, have the war ended by the end of the week. So I say Trump should tell Vladimir Putin to wind this up quickly. So the Kremlin spokesperson, Dmitry Peskov, dismissed all rumors of the phone call between Trump and Putin as pure fiction and fake news. So, well, if the call didn't happen, then it should. Donald Trump should get Putin on the line and just let him know. Knock it off. Maybe in stronger language. It's 11:17 at WNBF. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
DJ from Binghamton. Good morning, Bob. You got to get him on that line, brother.
Get him on the line. Tell him to knock it off. And tell him...
Knock it off.
Tell him America also needs Russia's support, particularly the upstate New York region. We need some more cash. So if Russia would send us some financial aid here in the Binghamton area, that would be a sign that Vladimir Putin wants to work well with the U.S. over the next 4 years.
You know, I said hook, line, and sinker, and unfortunately, some things are sinking. You know what made my morning happy though? Earlier, Bob, when the first caller was talking about people are going to regret their vote in 2 years, and you paused for a second and you said, "No, they're not." I said, "Yes, you go, Bobby." See how we do on WNBF and WNBF.
By the way, I'm still waiting for Joe Biden to announce that he's resigning on Thanksgiving Day. So all this merchandise that's getting printed up with number 47 has to be trashed.
Wait, Thanksgiving? What do you mean?
Because Joe Biden wants to give all Americans something to be thankful for. That he'll resign at noon on Thanksgiving Day. Just say, my heart's no longer in it. I've lost the desire to be president. So my vice president, Kamala Harris, will gladly serve as vice president over the next several weeks. I think that would be great. It would help the economy, the factories that make the hats and the coffee mugs and stuff like that, the knickknacks and the doodads. They could make a lot of money with Kamala Harris for presidential keepsake stuff, which will be valid through January 20th. And then the companies that made all this, millions and millions of T-shirts and sweatshirts and mugs with number 47 for Trump, they can toss all that stuff in the trash and make some number 48. So they could call him President 45 and 48. And that way everybody's happy. So everybody who supported Kamala Harris for president, they'll be happy for a few weeks. She can serve from Thanksgiving until January 20th. Who knows? Maybe she could, in the interim, name her vice president for a little over a month. Maybe it could be Eric Adams. I don't know.
Hey, but Bob, if you come out at noon from your office and you look down the street, you might see Santa Claus too. Don't do any of that. Listen, take all those wonderful, brand new, fresh, made in China T-shirts and bring them to the Rumble Pony Stadium, man. Throw them out with those shooters. By the way, speaking of the Rumble Ponies, I was near their truck in the parade. The parade was great yesterday. Did you happen to come out at 1 o'clock? It started at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, I was there. I was the guy.
Where were you?
I was the guy taking pictures and video.
By your station there?
Near the WNBF tower. Yeah, I actually I chatted briefly with Josh Riley because I don't think I had ever seen Josh Riley in a parade before, and so he was walking with Donna Lepardo and Leo Webb and some other.
He wasn't in Columbus then.
Then he was marching with them, and he spotted me, and he stopped by and said, "Hey, Bob, I've got to come back on the program." And I said, Yeah. Now that you're going to be a member of Congress in January, it's time to. So hopefully he'll stop back by the studio to talk about his plans for the next couple of years.
Come back into the studio? Yeah. Think he's going to come in? Hey, I don't remember.
He indicated he would. So hopefully, I know he's busy, but he probably will.
He'd like to. Hey, but check it out. I don't remember the last name. Doesn't matter anyway. But did you see Mark? He rides the old 1890s bike in circles.
Well, I didn't see it myself. I saw it on Action News.
Yeah.
The reality, I had to admit this to somebody on Twitter because she asked about high school marching bands, and I had to admit to her after I posted some video on Twitter.
There weren't any in it.
Yeah, I didn't think so, but I told her I didn't see the whole parade, so I couldn't answer her if there were any high school bands, because she mentioned that she had good memories back in the day when high school bands were part of the Veterans Day Parade.
There's an S on the end of that day, Bob, back in the days. Hey, but I was near Mark, man. I had those miniature candy bars. I gave one to this kid. She said, I just got one of child, lamb, not kid, lamb. She said, I just got one of those. Well, good. And then I get another one. It was great. I hand them out. So we had a blast, man. Thank God all the veterans. I didn't get a chance to call yesterday and say thank you to all you in uniforms serving now and who have served. People have given their lives, man. You can't thank them because they're not here, but thank you so much. We had a blast. Can't wait till the next one, Bobby. I didn't see you though. I looked for you at the CSUN. Hey, somebody argued with me about that. They actually argued. It's not CSUN. It's Sisson. I said it's not Sisson like sissy. It doesn't sound like sissy. It's Sisson. It's French.
Sissons.
He said, no, it's not.
It's not French. Sissons. I'm sitting right now in the bargain basement. Used to be Sisson's bargain basement. You know, where all dresses were available for $1 to $2. They even had a special. I think J. Edgar Hoover bought his favorite dress at Sisson's back in the day. So they say. That's the legend. Anyway, thanks for calling in.
Thank you. Have a blessed day.
11:24. Can you imagine J. Edgar Hoover shopping right here in the Sisson's bargain basement? That's when bargains were true bargains. You didn't have to go to the Family Bargain Center for bargains. You could get them in the Sisson's bargain basement. 607-772-1290. This is Binghamton Now. What's on your mind? Go ahead. Give us a call. We're here till noon.
Just got to test it.
Coming up today on WNBF, noon to 3, Dan Bongino, 3 to 6, Sean Hannity, 6 to 9, Mark Levin. Of course, as always, the schedule is subject to change due to operational requirements. So if our requirements mandate a change in the schedule, well, you never know. It's live radio, so it could happen. I doubt it's going to happen, but could. Well, even though it's been 1 week since the election, Donald Trump has already tapped a few people to serve in his cabinet. So people like Elise Stefanik and Mike Waltz. So they're going to have to leave Congress, and they'll be working for Team Trump. So a lot of talent. He is assembling a lot of talent. Who would think that Elise Stefanik would be the UN ambassador? Didn't have that on my bingo card. So this is going to be truly an administration filled with talent. They're going to hit the ground running. It's 11:28 at WNBF. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Dave from Vestal. Good morning, Bob.
Welcome.
Hey, you know what? Hey, don't do what diddy do, Bob. You know, I was reading he's offering the judge $50 million bond. I thought the judge is supposed to offer you. I didn't know you can make offers like that. You can do that. You can offer a certain amount of money to get out. I didn't realize the court system worked that way.
I have no idea. I have no idea. Zero idea what you're talking about. What do you mean?
Combs, Diddy there.
I don't pay attention to his case. It's enough to make me sick.
Know?
No. I'm paying attention to the important things, I mean, I'm not saying, let's be clear, I'm not saying the allegations surrounding the musical legend, I'm not saying those allegations aren't serious. Of course they are. But of all the things that I need to pay attention to, what happens to him,
I know
it's so low. It's so low on the list.
I know. And that's not the reason why I called.
Well, thank you. Thanks. I mean, it's important. Look, it's not Entertainment Tonight. It's not Inside Editions. This is the real deal. We're talking about the things that are important to Americans.
Right. Just don't do what did he do. Hey, anyways, Bob, I surfed through all the news stations and hoping that I find something intelligent, something interesting, intriguing to listen to. I do that a lot. Try to catch somebody saying something that I might want to hear or might not want to hear. And Bob, I stopped by, that Joy Reid, Bob. That, how she rolls. I can't listen to her for more than 2 minutes. It's constant sexism, racism. She drives me out of my mind. But there's a lot of people out there, Bob, that I don't know what it is. They attempt to defy logic and common sense. They attempt to do that. And to me, that's more than ideology. That's a sign of mental instability, because you can't defy common sense and logic. Everybody tries to do it. Drives me crazy, Bob. Is there such a thing? Can you debate logic?
Sure.
That's
sure. Just because you disagree with someone is not an indication they have any sort of mental problem.
But if something
no, you're implying that people who disagree with you have something wrong with them, and I'm going to tell you live on the radio, just because somebody doesn't see things the same way you do, it doesn't mean they have a problem. It means they have a different opinion.
So if they don't use common sense and they don't look at things logically, then they can't be wrong.
I didn't say they can't be wrong. They could be wrong. But to frame it the way you did seems really disrespectful.
It does? Huh.
I said it seems. That's how it comes across to me. Referring to people with whom you disagree as having some sort of mental problem strikes me as being very mean-spirited.
I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm just trying to look at things logically, and it just.
But why? Why would you say that people who don't share your opinion about something? Why would you go on the radio and say they've got some kind of mental problem?
I didn't say it. Now you frame it in a different way.
Well, I'm asking. Okay, I'm trying to better understand. So, what exactly were you trying to convey there? Because I got the impression you were suggesting that people who disagree with you are mentally ill.
Well, I didn't mean to make it come across that way.
Oh, okay. So what did you mean?
Well,
I mean, I don't want to have to go and play back the tape, but so what did you mean? Because I apparently made a mistake and thought you were suggesting people were mentally ill if they didn't agree with you on certain basic things.
I said there was a sign of mental instability. I didn't say definite, Bob. So I said,
all right, I don't. Well, then I don't share your view. We'll agree to disagree.
Okay. Well,
because I'm not going to say that someone who disagrees with me is exhibiting signs of mental instability. That's not for me to say. I have no training in that, and I would never I would never ascribe, any kind of potential mental problem to someone simply because they disagree.
Bob, let's try this. I'm sure you and I have many a time have had conversations with highly intelligent people. I mean highly intelligent, very smart people, Bob. And they come across that way in just about everything you talk about until you get to common sense. And you notice, I can't ever figure out how these highly intelligent people, they don't sound so intelligent when you start talking about common sense. How can that be, Bob? I've always tried to figure it, and you know what I'm talking about, I'm sure. Common sense evades them, but yet they're almost rocket scientists. Can't figure that out, Bob. Have you talked to people like that in your life? I'm sure you have.
No, I've talked to all sorts of people, but I'm just impressed that they're willing to have a conversation with me. I'm very grateful that people are willing to talk.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, thanks. Hope you have a great afternoon.
Yeah, you too, Bob. Bye-bye.
It's 11:35 at News Radio, WNBF, 607-772-1290. So what's your opinion? What's your opinion? I'd like to know. We'll be here till noon, and we'll talk about maybe some local stuff and probably, I bet, more presidential stuff, because I really think, just have this impression, a lot will happen over the next several weeks. You look at the next 2 months, as they say, you ain't seen nothing yet. We didn't have many October surprises, but I say there will be November and December surprises. So you need to stay tuned to WNBF for all the latest surprises, because there will. I know you're saying, but Bob, we can't deal with any more surprises. Yes, you can, and yes, you will. There will be surprises. Trust me. Binghamton Now, 92.1 FM, 1290 AM. Stay connected using the free WNBF app. Let's take more calls on this Tuesday morning. Pete, formerly of Vestal, good morning.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Isn't that a catchy little number? It just came to me during the break that would fit really nicely now.
So I was on the World Wide Web the other day, that big World Wide Web, and I got lost in the weeds, and I somehow started looking at populations of areas. In Broome County, the population has dropped in the past 30 years. I don't know, 20, 30,000 people at least. We've dropped a whole lot of people from 220,000 to 180, or the numbers is incredible how many people have dropped. So back in the 70s and 80s, when we had all these people living here, where did they happen to live if we have such a housing crisis right now?
Well, a lot of them actually live downtown where the governmental center was, that area. That there were houses there, and a lot of houses got knocked down for urban renewal. Urban renewal took out quite a few homes.
But that was in the 60s and 70s.
I know.
This is the 80s. There were still people here in the 80s when IBM was still in its heyday.
Well, a lot of those houses now are in such bad shape they're just burning down like every other day. So I mean, some of those are just not habitable except by squatters who ultimately.
I'm sorry, but we haven't lost 20,000 houses. We haven't lost that many.
Well, and I don't know.
We haven't lost that much housing.
Yeah, so. I know. No, I share your concern about. I mean, it's a mystery. I've lived here all my life, and I got to say, it is a mystery because when I was a kid, there were well over 200,000, maybe 220,000 people in Broome County. Heck, Binghamton's population, I think, in the early 20th century might have topped out somewhere near I don't know if it was 80,000, and now Binghamton is down to about 44,000. So it's an excellent question, and maybe it's a question that I need to pose when Jerry Smith is back in here, to ask him where exactly did tens of thousands of people in the city of Binghamton live if we have such a housing shortage today?
I mean, did we have 10 people living in a house and now we only have 2 people living in each house?
Well, that's part of it, though. No, I mean, remember, yes. I know some people. I mean, some people, they had as many as 4 kids, 6 kids. Some people had even 12 kids. And not that there's anything wrong with it, but these days, a lot of families have between 0 and 2 kids.
Yeah. I mean, all these politicians talk about we need housing. Where did the houses go? We didn't lose that many houses were burnt down. I mean, it didn't happen.
No, I agree. But I do think that part of it is just lifestyle changes, smaller families. There are also, believe it or not, Pete, there are more people today living alone, I think, than say 10, 20, 30 years ago. I think there are a lot. Yeah.
They're smart.
Yeah, they're smart. People, and again, not. Well, I just alienated a good chunk of the audience. No, you're smart no matter.
Boy, I'm in trouble now.
Yes, you better watch it, buddy.
Wait, I got one more thing, too.
Yeah.
So Hochul in August said that the tolls down in downtown Manhattan was wrong because it would cost people too much money. And now that Trump got elected, she says we need to enact these tolls before Trump comes along and stops us from doing it.
I heard that on the radio this morning.
How stupid she sounds.
I would never call her that.
Well, I'm gonna, because that sounds stupid, Bob. How would you say so? How would you reverse course like that?
Well, all I'll say, based on the news report that I heard this morning on 10-10 wins, all I'll say is I don't get it. That's all. I'm not gonna. If she wants to call this program and explain her about face on congestion pricing and this sudden now hurry up because Donald Trump is going to be sworn in about 2 months, it's like it makes no sense. So she's coming up apparently with congestion pricing light, a lower fee compared to her original plan, and trying to ram this through. And I find it offensive.
Yeah.
Who the heck does she think she is?
I don't get it. I don't know. And then the people reacting to this election that are so upset and crying and just proves to me that, and proves to all of us, that we have a serious mental health issue in this country. Because if you're going to start crying because someone was elected,
well, I don't think it's mental health. I blame it on the media. And I'll tell you who specifically, since you asked. I blame it on MSNBC. I blame it on Rachel Maddow. I blame it on Keith Uberman, even though he's been fired so many times that nobody will hire him. It's people like that. It's the View. The people who host The View, they whip people into a frenzy, and then when something doesn't go their way, everybody is all mopey for the past week.
Yeah, one of the people on The View the other day said that she's worried for her daughter because now she has less rights than she does. She's worried for...
Who said that? Sonny?
What? No, I don't know. One of the I'm sorry. One of the females on the show.
I'll have none of that.
I apologize to all bimbos out there.
Hey, this. I'm telling you, I'm going to have to end this call right now. I hope you think about what you just said twice on the air.
I apologize.
Okay. All right.
Then one of the other ladies.
The hosts. Let's call them hosts.
Okay, host.
Yes.
And one of the other hosts was saying that the reason that she lost was because they wouldn't address these certain issues, and she was talking about the things that she did wrong. And the other ladies are jumping on us. What about Donald Trump? And she's like, I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about what the vice president did wrong. And all she kept worried about was, well, Donald Trump's a convicted felon, and Donald Trump did this, and she said, it doesn't matter. What did she do not right? She didn't do things right. And she's trying to address that issue, and they didn't care. They're just so infatuated with the Trump derangement syndrome that they can't look past their nose.
Well, that's ABC for you. Appreciate your call. Thanks. It's 10:45 in Chicago, 9:45 in Denver, and 8:45 in Malibu. Good morning, Tom from Susquehanna. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Bob. Yeah, listen, I agree with the caller that called up before. In fact, the other two. I just wanted to get back to common sense. There is no common sense. That's the big thing that's going on here. Down here, I just heard they made that guy, Richie Levine, Woman of the Year. Woman of the Year. The guy, he's a guy.
Well, why not?
What I'm talking about?
Why not? First, I don't even know what you're talking about. I see it. Oh, you said it's. Wait, who said? Who made the designation?
It's one of the magazines.
What magazine?
I don't know.
Sports Illustrated?
This what?
Sports Illustrated. Who
did you say?
Sports Illustrated?
No, it's one of those magazines. I don't even bother looking at.
Oh,
it.
Good
It's
Housekeeping.
Clickbait,
Good Housekeeping.
But I mean, they're still talking about it. It's like that boxer that was that was in the Olympics. He finally proved he was XY. That means he's a man. And now they said, oh, no, he's not. That is common sense. And like I talked about that swimmer, the guy that says he was a girl in Penn State. He should be on the football team in Penn State, not swimming. And now that's where common sense comes in. And there is no common sense. And as far as that, the other guy was talking about it, yeah, these people are in college. They spend, what is it, $60,000 a year?
It's not their money. It's their parents' money. It's their parents' money.
Well, it doesn't make any difference.
Well, yeah, if it was their own money, I could see. But their parents are spending good money to go to good schools like Cornell. And you can also get a really good education at Binghamton University for a fraction of the cost. And you can learn, when you go to the universities, whether it's Binghamton or Cornell, you get a chance to learn about the world around you.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
So, so whether you get a slightly better deal at Binghamton, or if your family is able to afford Cornell, or if you get enough scholarships to pull it off, or Syracuse, whatever, that's how you learn.
Yeah. Well, all it is common sense, and there is no more common sense.
Oh, there is plenty. There's plenty.
No, there is no
Tommy,
common sense.
Listen to me. There's plenty of common sense.
Not on the part of them.
Oh, you mean the people with whom you disagree don't have common sense?
No, I don't disagree. I'm just talking about they have the right to do it.
They do have a right to do it.
I agree with them.
Right.
What?
They have a right to do what they want.
Yeah.
That's America. You have a right. You, Tom from Susquehanna, absolutely have a right to be proud of your beliefs. Everybody has an absolute right to be proud of their beliefs.
But not if they're telling me no. They're telling me that I can't.
No,
Bob,
you can't.
Saying that I can't say that.
Well, you can't.
That's what they're
you
saying.
can't say that on the radio.
No, you him a guy.
No, you can't.
Yes,
you have to respect the pronouns.
No.
Yes.
I don't respect the program because...
No, the pronouns, not the program. Right. Everybody respects this program. But if somebody announces their preferred pronouns, then you should respect them.
No, I don't respect it.
Why?
Because they're not a girl.
But why can't you respect what people want to be called?
Because they're not what they are saying. Don't you understand that? This is what gets me. He can say he's a jackrabbit. Suppose if I say, I don't want to be called Tom from Susquehanna. I want to be called something else. You're going to say, well, I know you're Tom from Susquehanna. No, you have to say what I want to say. And that's
if you want to call yourself Tanya from Susquehanna.
Hey, you want to get me beat up down here?
Well, I hadn't thought. Actually, I hadn't thought about that. But nobody listens in Susquehanna, so it would be our little secret. So starting tomorrow, when you call in, you can adopt a new identity just for this show because nobody in Susquehanna is listening. So Tanya in Susquehanna for the rest of the week. Let's see how this goes.
Bob, no, are you kidding me? I already had people that know because of my voice that they listen to the show. You got a lot of people listening to your show, you know that.
Yeah, but not in Susquehanna. We have two people. We have two people who listen in Susquehanna. It's you and there's a woman who occasionally calls. We have only two.
Well, that's all we have down here is only two people. We're down here. It's me and her.
All right.
And we take turns.
You use each other's phone.
There's no common sense anymore.
Okay.
And even the jokes. You get the comedians. They can't make a joke. Oh, you're insulting that one. Then turn them off.
Well, no.
It's like with your show.
No, show.
People don't agree with you and your show. They shouldn't be calling up and saying they disagree with you and fighting with you. Just don't listen to you. Right?
Well, I agree with that. Yeah. No.
I mean,
listen to me. Wait.
I don't agree with you on a lot of things.
Right. And it's understandable. But here's where I differ with you. If people who disagree with me, instead of calling in to disagree, they don't have to call in because I already have factored that in. I know at least half the people don't agree with me, so I already know that. But you must keep listening. You don't have to call in, but the most important thing is you keep listening regardless.
Oh yeah, no. They're listening.
Okay.
They're listening.
It should be.
What it is that you just aggravate. You rub people the wrong way. You know what I mean? Because you say things here like, I have to agree with the pronoun. It's a guy.
No, I didn't say no. I didn't say you have to agree with the pronoun. I suggested no, and I know this is nuanced, but I'll explain my position because obviously you misunderstood. My position is you don't have to agree with it, but say if somebody specifies that they want to be referred to by a certain pronoun, even if you don't agree with it, you can still respect them and use the pronoun they request.
Yeah, but by respecting it means I agree with it.
No, it does not.
Yes, it does.
Oh.
I don't agree.
No. That's not what it is.
Do you think this guy, Richie Levine, is a guy or a girl? What do you think he is?
I have never met. I don't know.
No, you see him. You must have seen him on television or something.
But I don't.
He's the guy that's the admiral.
Yeah, I know who you're referring to, but I'm in no position. I'm in no position to judge. It's as far as how
what does he look like to you?
As far as how anyone identifies. Look, somebody would say, "Well, what about Alice Cooper in his heyday when he was in his back in the 70s when he started?" People would say, there is a guy going around trying to play at the arena. And remember, they wouldn't let him play at the arena because his name was Alice and they didn't like his music.
Is he a girl or a guy?
Who knows? Well, also, it's not something that concerns me. Alice Cooper came up with a lot of music that a lot of people liked. And I think the last time I saw a picture, I think Alice Cooper got a haircut. So I think the hairstyle is, who knows? And ultimately, of what concern, why would I be concerned how Alice Cooper identifies?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, what difference? What difference at this point does it make?
Yeah, but see, Alice is a girl's name, right? Is that what that was the problem with
typically?
This guy?
There was no problem.
Right, so,
I don't know. I wasn't on the arena board of directors. I don't know what they were thinking.
Did he wear a dress?
I never saw Alice Cooper in a dress.
Yeah, I don't even know who you're talking about. I've heard about him.
But what about J. Edgar Hoover? J. Edgar Hoover wearing a dress. What about that?
J. Edgar Hoover was gay, Bobby, J. Edgar Hoover.
I don't even know. And I don't even care. I'm just saying whether J. Edgar Hoover would wear a dress or whether he wore a pantsuit, why would I care?
Yeah, but the problem was you might not have cared, But if he would have announced that he was gay at that time, they would have got rid of him.
No, they wouldn't. No, they would never get rid of J. Edgar Hoover. No.
What?
They would never get rid of.
He was only gay. He was gay.
Yeah.
That's all.
Right.
Right.
So
it's accepted.
I say he should have announced it.
Stuff isn't.
I say he should have announced it on the radio.
Well, he should have, but at that time he didn't. But these LBGDQ, whatever the hell the letters are a load of baloney.
No. No,
gays
respect.
From time immemorial.
Respect people.
Men.
Respect people.
What?
Show respect.
I respect gays, but I don't respect some guy walking around in a skirt and claiming he's a girl. You hear what I'm talking about? And this is what's happening now. You're going to get backlash from that because people are not going to, I can't believe it. See if you can find out what magazine they made Richie Levine Woman of the Year.
Yeah, it says USA Today. It says USA Today, and it was 2.5 years ago. So my question is, why is that coming up now? When it happened 2.5 years ago, I didn't even hear about it. So why am I hearing about it now in November 2024?
Because I picked it up on YouTube, and the guy then said he had he made. Let me see. She was that, and he made somebody Woman of the Year. I think it's that YouTube. I'm trying to switch over to DuckDuck, but I can't do it. I like the YouTube stuff here because they have a lot of information on things that you can do, but you got to be careful with the information.
Well, sure, of course, always be skeptical. But
and
but obviously, that was not cutting edge. That was more than 2 years ago. So whatever USA Today wants to do, obviously they want to sell papers. Appreciate your call. And sadly, that's all the time we have for today, but I will return tomorrow. I'm Bob Joseph with Binghamton Now, only on News Radio, WNBF.